the defining attribute of fly fishing. It's our unique ability to land our lure with a subtle presentation. All other forms of fishing, spin fishing, bait casting, whatever you want to call it, whether you're casting a metal lure, weight and bait, a bobber in something, that all lands with a splash, but not in fly fishing. And we do it in a very unique way. We're actually casting weighted fly line when we're using fly fishing equipment. If we can direct the weighted line, tell it where we want it to go, we can attach things to it. And commonly we'll have a tapered leader and a fly connected. That's how we get that subtle presentation. And in order to do that, you have to know how to fly cast. What's commonly overlooked in the world of fly fishing equipment, you gotta have a fly rod, a reel to store your fly line and so on. What's commonly overlooked? The fly line. Think about it, it's the most important item in the bag. You're touching it with your hands. It's the vehicle for delivering our lure. It's the connection to your fish. You bet the fly line is important, and the right fly line makes all the difference in the world. I'm going to show you the world's easiest casting fly line. You'll be blown away with what we can do with it. And I'm also going to give you some casting tips as well. Why am I standing next to a metal fish? It'll make sense in a second. We've set up a little bit of a casting demonstration for you. This fish right here is 60 feet away from where I'm going to cast. This iron bulldog right here is 50 feet away. If we continue the journey, I have a metal trout. That's going to be 40 feet away from where I'm going to cast. Walk with me, we'll start the process. I'll show you the world's easiest casting fly line and how to efficiently cast it. Let's walk down here. We've taken the time to measure everything. We took out the ruler. We've got a 20-foot cast, a 40-foot cast, a 50-foot cast, and a 60-foot cast. And we're going to do it with one fly line, and we're going to do it using the same casting stroke every time. Let me show you what I mean. I'm standing next to a small log here. That's my mark, so I know I'm going to make a 40-foot cast. If we look down this way, my metal fish is my first target. That's going to be 40 feet away. Now, a few things about this fly line that are important. It's a weight forward, meaning the forward section of the fly line is thicker and, more importantly, heavier than the inside portion of the fly line. I'll show you why that matters in just a bit. The other thing you'll notice with our fly line is it's color-coded. The stuff I'm holding, what we'll be casting, is white, and the rest of the line is red. It's important to keep the white portion near the tip of the rod. Now, I'll let you in on one more secret. This fly line is white and red. We call it our instructor's line, so you can see the line in the air. Our best-selling version of this line, the weight forward section, is an olive green. Why? Because you'll be fishing with that. And if you think about it, if trout look right and left in a stream, commonly they're going to be looking at greenery, growth, vegetation around them. So our olive green colored fly line blends in well there. But again, for demonstration purposes, we're going to be using the white line so you can see it better. With the white line at the tip of this fly rod, all I have to do now is move the fly line efficiently in the direction I want it to go. Every fly cast is the same, by the way. It's an accelerated pull of the line and a firm stop of the rod. Watch. If I stand on my log, make smooth accelerated pulls, and build in a stop, I just hit that trout with my fake bug. That's a 40-foot cast. Why does a 40-foot cast matter? Well, if you think about it, if you can accurately and efficiently place your fly, maybe within a hula hoop, 40 feet from where you stand, any qualified angler is going to tell you you can catch about 90% of the trout out there. The day will come, though, where you might need another foot or two upon your 40-foot cast. Well, here's a tip. Before you go to the toolbox and start pulling off more fly line, how about you do the following? Keep your same practiced, efficient 40-foot cast and quietly move 2, 3, 5 feet closer to your target. Replay the cast, you're good to go. But the day will come when you can't move any closer. I don't know, the water's too deep or too fast, or you just don't want to move. Now is when we can use our weight forward fly line, and for the first time ever, it's correctly positioned. I just pulled off about 10 more feet of fly line. I'm going to do exactly the same casting stroke I did prior, and at the stop of my cast, I'm going to release the extra fly line. Watch what happens. Now, I'm trying to make a 50-foot cast. But I will use the same casting stroke, a smooth acceleration to a tip stop, and after my stop, I can release the extra fly line. Probably hard to see from where you are, but my yarn bug is actually a little bit beyond my metal bulldog out there, proving I just made a 50-foot cast without any more added energy in my casting stroke. This fly line is the world's easiest casting fly line. 60 foot? Okay. I'll pull off some additional fly line. I'll reposition my fly line so the weight forward section is where it should be at the tip of my fly rod. I'll recast in the same stroke that I did previously, and again, at the stop of my forward stroke, right after it, I'll release the extra fly line. Let's see if we can make a 60-foot cast. Same casting stroke, smooth accelerated pulls and a tip stop, and on my forward stroke, I release the extra. Gonna have to trust me on this one. I can see my yarn. It's exactly right next to that big trout out there. That's a 60-foot cast. You're not going to make 60-foot casts all the time when you go fishing. In fact, I would recommend you stay in the 40-foot range. A few more things to teach you about the world's easiest casting fly line. If you haven't noticed, the secret here is I'm always and only casting the same amount of fly line, the weight forward section. What that does is it drills into your brain a fixed amount of weight and a fixed amount of length that you're constantly controlling. What I mean by that is you're going to get very, very intimate with your fly line very quickly. Let me show you what I mean in action. We talked about a 40-foot cast and a 50-foot cast and a 60-foot cast, but you might have to make a 20-foot cast. Most of us in the past would have stripped in our fly line, shortening it for a shorter cast, but in the process of doing that, we also reduced the amount of weight in the form of fly line out of the tip of the rod. We changed the whole casting formula. Is there a way to make a 20-foot cast with a fixed amount of line that normally results in a 40-foot cast? That's a question. I have the answer, and it's yes, you can. If we reposition our white line at the tip of the rod, again, that's the weight forward section, I want you to look at this red hula hoop. If I pull straight forward, stop my rod, well, that's a 40-foot cast. I clearly overshot my 20-foot mark. But if you think about it, as I'm pulling my line forward, stopping my rod to put energy in the line, what happens if I draw back after the cast? Let's take a look. Here's my standard casting stroke. Here's my stop, but if I draw back, I just made a 20-foot cast. My yarn is in the hula hoop. Great. If you're an angler, you're probably already noticing that I have slack at this point. What happens if a trout grabs my fly at this very moment? It would be near impossible to set the old-fashioned way, lifting your rod away from the fish. But I want you to think of fly line in a different way. It's weight. Tell it what you'd like it to do. So in this example, if I lifted my rod as my fly was drifting back to me, instead of thinking about setting the hook away and backwards, what if I were to accelerate my stroke forward and stop my rod tip? I just sent my weighted line forward, and in the process, two things would have happened. One, my weighted line going forward put tension on my hook and actually set the hook for me. I just hooked a fish, even with slack. The other option is maybe I missed the strike, but the result is I just made another cast. My fly's already drifting. Folks, it's that easy. This is the world's easiest casting fly line. 20-foot cast, 40-foot cast, 50-foot cast, 60-foot cast, all with the same fly line, all with the same casting stroke, no hauling, no extra line speed. And speaking of line speed, let me show you a trick. Follow me. You'll find this line is so efficient when you cast it simply by pulling to a stop. You'll get so intimate and you'll start to understand your only job when casting is to tell your fly line what you'd like it to do. Imagine, if you will, that wine barrel is actually a stump or a rock in the middle of a stream, and there's a trout on the other side, and I want to get my fly to it. In my older days, I would only have two options: to cast straight up and over the obstacle, might work, or to move my body position so I have line of sight to my target and make a straight cast. Nowadays, with this fly line, whether I'm old and lazy or smart and efficient, let me show you the trick. I want my line to curve around that obstacle. Slowing your fly line down during your casting stroke, which requires you to have an efficient and easy casting fly line, then gives you the ability to do something like this. I'm going to make a curved cast. Let me do that again. A curved cast around the structure. Now my fly is on the back side of an obstacle. I didn't have to move my body. All I'm doing is moving my weighted fly line. Let me do that again. I want my fly on the back side. I can curve my line around obstacles, present my fly, don't have to move or make noise. If a fish grabs right there, boop, set the hook. This line, by far and away, is the best casting fly line. It's the easiest casting fly line, and we're the only ones with it. We call it the Leland Custom Fly Line. We also call it the Pliny. It's named after our favorite local beer. It's that good. So if you're looking to improve your casting enjoyment, your efficiency, your subtle presentation, your accuracy, all these great terms, get one of our lines. Comes with a 100% money back guarantee, welded loops at either end for real simple rigging. And one thing not to forget, get our leaders. We also make a leader. It's a 12-foot 4X Leland, New Zealand leader. By far and away, the best casting leader, the best fishing leader. It was designed to complement this fly line. So if you're struggling with a current line, I don't care what rod you have, get one of our lines. It'll change your casting world. And if you're unhappy with your rod, I highly recommend you contact us as well, because we have an efficient and balanced rod. That's the whole idea, folks. The leader, the line, the rod, the reel, they all balance and complement one another. Thank you so much for your time. Here's to enjoyable fly casting.